Good afternoon to our Inspire Access Radio listeners. Um, Today on Inspiring Talks with Ilhaam, we have Sisters Incorporated. They are a non-profit organization based in Cape Town in the southern suburbs. They provide shelter and support for women and children who are survivors of domestic violence and abuse. Their mission is to protect, support, and empower these individuals by offering a safe haven so that they can heal and rebuild their lives. So, as part of my Women's Month series, we're interviewing the manager of the company, Delene Roberts. Welcome and thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, Ilham, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share.
Mm. So, what is the core mission of Sisters Incorporated and what makes your approach to helping women and children unique?
So, Sisters Incorporated's core mission is actually to provide a safe and secure and nurturing place of safety. Where women and children women and their children that has been affected, because we do not take children on their own, and where they can heal, regain dignity, as well as to rebuild their lives. And I think what makes Sisters Incorporated unique is that we have a holistic approach. We have a holistic focus, and it's not just about offering accommodation, but also offering counseling, life skills. We have a childcare facility. We don't call it a creche because it's just an extension of the social work department. So we have all that on the premises.
Can you share with us a brief history of the organization, when it started, and how you've progressed so far?
Sisters Incorporated started in 1959. So the organization is 66 years old. It started out as a home for young ladies in an era where there was a stigma being single and pregnant, teenage girls, especially. Well, that time it was mainly for the white people, if I can put it that way. And then fell pregnant and then came here, have the baby, and give the baby up for adoption. Ever since then, we've evolved to being a home for survivors of abuse. And even though the home was started as a place where women could up for adoption, when in 1980s, when abortion was legalized, the vision and mission slightly changed. And that is where it evolved into being a place of safety for women that comes from through domestic violence, interpersonal violence, rape survivors, and then we still offer the service to somebody that is considering to give up the baby for adoption.
And how many women can you accommodate at a time?
We have bed space for 28, so that includes the women and their children.
Okay. When you talk about the safe haven, what does it truly mean for women and children who come to you, and what are the immediate steps you take to ensure their safety and well-being?
So when we say it's a safe haven, it's more than just a shelter. We used to call ourselves just a shelter for abused women and their children. However, over the years, the residents actually felt that it's more a home environment than what it is just a shelter. So what we try and offer the ladies at the best of it's one of our best practices is to give them peace while when they come in. How we receive them with dignity, with care, compassion, and it's just how we try and meet their basic needs on the day when they arrive.
Mm.
So it's more than just I'm coming to a shelter and that's it. We actually welcome you with a pamper pack. We welcome you with when you come in here and offering you a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, just to let you settle, because coming into a new space, you're just going through abuse. We need to find just to make you feel comfortable and safe.
Mm. So the organization has evolved over the years, and with every generation, there comes a new set of problems. So gender-based violence is a big problem at the moment, um, not only in Cape Town but across the whole of South Africa. So, from your perspective, what are some of the most common reasons women feel they can't leave abusive situations?
Um, as much as gender-based violence has evolved, I think it's still the same reasons from way back. And what I always say is that in the past we didn't have social media.
Mm,
People didn't have, there was no way that everything could just be put on social media. But the reason why people feel that they stay in abusive relationships, codependency, and that is being financially dependent on the perpetrator, the concern for their children, because what's going to happen to my children if I leave, and do I take them with, and then also maybe the perpetrator has isolated the person so much that they don't know where to reach out to, and then obviously being in shame because how could I allow this man to do this to me?
mm, mm. Delene, how do you address the psychological and emotional trauma that survivors go through? I don't want to only say GBV because you get all kinds of abuse in all situations. And so, what role does counseling play in the healing process also? And do you guys offer counseling?
Yes, we have a professional, a registered social worker on the premises that is here every day. We've got a social auxiliary worker that is here also to help. And one of our house mothers is also a social auxiliary worker. So we've got quite a bit of support in that way. Our team, even though they are not qualified counselors, all have the ability to be able to counsel somebody because we've all gone through trauma counseling. We've done the basic courses. So what we do is it's not just a place of safety, but the restoring of the heart and the mind and of the self-worth, because we find that women loses their self-worth along the way through the abuse. So when they meet with the social worker, they have a safe space where they can talk, where they can actually just be heard and understood.
Hmm. Hmm. So, you're kind of giving their power back. And I know the term empowerment is very much out there nowadays, but that's a
Hmm.
really central part of your mission. And what does it look like
Hmm.
in practice at Sisters Incorporated? And what are some of the most impactful skills or programs that you offer women that come from abusive situations?
So we equip women with different sets of tools, and we've got a skills development program running at all times. Whether we have external service providers coming in, whether it's something that we do on the premises. So on premises, we have basic skills like needlework, beading, the general, the sewing, the fabric painting. And we find that the women actually sees that that is very therapeutic because they can take, they're now focusing on something specific. They actually sewing or the doing embroidery. I mean, I don't know when last I did embroidery, and the women says no, but it's very therapeutic because you're actually concentrating on that. So also offer personal development workshops. So we get external people in that will come and offer how to do like life coaching. We've got people that come and do life coaching. We've got people that comes in and do job readiness skills with the ladies. So it's at the end of the day, it's important for us to empower the women because not all women are employed when they come to us. Not all women has actually completed the schooling. So we try and to assist better that way to be able to empower them.
Mm. Can you tell us some success stories or like some stories from the organizations? Obviously, you don't have to mention names.
Okay. Well, there's quite a few, and one thing I'm gonna boast about is that three of our of our ladies was just in the July club magazine of the Fushini group.
What?
They've actually made it onto the front page of the cover. They're on the cover of the July magazine. And if you, I'll share the link with you so that you can have a look into it. And they were actually very excited in doing that because of how they've walked through the journey with sisters and we.
Aria Shalom. Eat it up, eat it up. I'm a whole vibe. I'm a mood, I'm a mood. Eat it up. She came, she ate, and she ain't leave no crumbs up on the plate. Eat it up. Yeah, I'm a mood, I'm a mood. Eat it up. She came, she ate, and she ain't leave no crumbs up on the plate. Eat it up. Glossy, bossy, kamikaze. The high heavens, 24/7. Glow up era, aloe vera, and that's it.
Sisters and we the are today. But one of the ladies that really comes to mind for me in terms of a success story, and this is someone that was here in about 5-6 years ago. Very, very traumatic story of going through abuse. Perpetrator is a policeman, and she actually came here down and out, not wanting to do anything. She visited us last year, and she's on the verge of getting married to somebody else, a man that is carrying her so highly, that and loves her children for who they are and accepted her for even with everything that she's gone through. She made a life for herself. She actually was one of the ladies that was part of our Orange group in partnership with Edgar's back then. And she then started her own little business. And I mean, that for us is empowerment. That is like, she's really took the right step. She moved out of the Cape Town metro and out on the outskirts of Cape Town, and started a new life. So, I mean, that is amazing.
Yes. If we can all have that journey, or somebody that's gone through struggles can all have that journey of success, that would make our
Yes,
society
true.
a much better place. So what are some of the challenges that your organization is facing with providing continuous support, and how can the community help overcome these challenges?
So, one of the greatest challenges that we face is the growing demand for the services. And we need to, at this stage, at this point in time, we overfull, if I must put it that way, because instead of 28 people in the house, we've got 29 residents in the house. And that is how we try to accommodate the urgency of the woman that needed to be in a place of safety.
My name is Quanta.
My name is Sisipo Magaza.
My name is Tabitha van Arde. I came to Sisters Incorporated in April.
Sisters Incorporated has changed so much over the years since inception. It is now more accommodating to the trauma-based needs that the women and children experience.
It's just helped me grow and blossom and find myself again. Made me feel a lot less alone.
That's pink or red. It's red.
A lot of people misunderstand rest. Rest in its simplest form is making sure you get sleep. Our bodies have a natural capacity to heal itself when we rest. So good night's sleep is especially important because sleep is actually one of our indicators for measuring trauma.
Rest is the first step to healing. We know that sleep is not the norm for survivors of abuse, and getting a peaceful night's sleep at the safe haven is what they need. The hardest part is that leaving is not the hardest part, but the actual healing is the hardest part. And that is why there is places like Sisters Incorporated.
For me, it's that light bulb moment or aha moment when we are in a session and something suddenly makes sense.
This is human beings that we are dealing with, and there is lives that we are dealing with, and these ladies needs to be safe and secure.
One of my favorite memories, I've actually got so many, it's hard to pick one, but I would say the skills have been absolutely amazing. It's helped me grow, it's helped me develop.
It was very, very a beautiful experience to have all the ladies there and feel like we're a group and going through something together, but separately.
So the patterns of behavior for choosing certain relationships, for example, or styles of communication rest in psychological decisions that have been buried from childhood already.
There are many ways that you can donate to Sisters Incorporated. You can donate by supporting us with financial donations. You can donate with your time, and that means becoming a volunteer. And you can even donate in kind. Thank you so much.
And yet our resources remains limited. We know that having to run a house it costs us about 10,000 Rand per person per month for one person to have a person in our home. So, which basically means 180,000 Rand a month that we need to have available to do successfully what we must do. And this is just to provide continuous support and care. Make sure that the ladies are safe, having accommodation, and so one of the other things that we face is our the maintenance of our building. The house is over 100 years old, so we try and maintain it. Whenever you're this side, please pop in and you'll be able to see. But we just make sure that we have enough staff. We 13 team members, and we have volunteers, local, national, international volunteers that help us to make everything possible to overcome these challenges as best as we can.
So what is the local support like? Do you get government funding? Do you?
The Department of Social Development gives us just over 30% of our budget, and the rest we need to source. The rest we need to send. I need to send out applications and just hope for a miracle.
Yeah, so big business and
Yep.
need to help each other out in terms of that. So how do you measure the success of your programs and your long-term impact for the women and children? And do you have any success stories when it comes to the children? Because I mean the children also have gone through the abuse. Because if your mother's being abused, then 10 to 10 you also being abused. So what is the state of the children like? What do you do for them?
So we measure success by the transformation that we see. We can see how I always say it's difficult to measure success in a case of abuse history. But like you say, it's also depending where the person finds himself after the shelter, because they can only stay with us for 3 months. So it is success is reflected whether the person gain the independence, secure work, and raise their children. That this is not life. As far as one of the ladies that had a child here, one of them, we know that they've gone back into society, and the daughter's actually training to be a lawyer. So it does, and she's also at one stage reached out like to sisters to tell her success story, to say to people what she's been through, where she was, and where she's at now. So a positive impact. Sometimes we see the child come into the shelter, and very strange. Don't wanna talk to anybody. Don't wanna like just hang on, mommy. But by the time that they need to leave, they're so attached to the team that they actually don't want to go. And like, are we coming back here? But trauma, the secondary trauma on the child is just as bad as the primary, as the mom being the primary client.
Mm, mm. Yeah, because that's what I was thinking about. Like the children get attached very, very easily.
Yes, and especially to our teacher. Our teacher, she's a qualified teacher. She's done play therapy, and she's done basic trauma counseling. She's done child protection, child wellness, and so when the children come see her, she comes to work in the morning. They actually run, and it's like teacher,
Oh.
and it just shows like the compassion that comes from teacher, because teacher is with him whole day during the day and she
Mm,
teaches him. But just to know that when she comes in the morning, they're already waiting for her to be able to go to the childcare facility.
mm. So you only have one branch, right, Delene?
Yes.
So, like, is the dream or the vision for Sisters Incorporated for there to be maybe a Sisters Incorporated in every suburb? I know it shouldn't be the case that somebody would need to go, but I mean, if you need support, then it can maybe change the structure of Sisters Incorporated, because then instead of it being just for abused women, it can be if you need a like if you need to get away from anything or anyone, um, like what is the dream for Sisters Incorporated?
So long-term dream is that we would want a longer term place. And when I say longer term, currently, like I said, only stays with us for 3 months. If they exit sisters, and it's really based on case based, right? But the department funds us for that person for 3 months to be with, or not funds, subsidizes us for the person to be with us for 3 months. And then if we do keep the client longer based on the case, the safety of the person, that obviously falls on us. So we would really like, and not like you're saying, maybe have another Sisters in every suburb, because even though Sisters Incorporated is there, we are part of the Western Cape Women Shelter Movement. And on the movement, we have approximately 17 shelters, 18 shelters. And in the Western Cape, I know that there's approximately 26 subsidized shelters by the Department of Social Development. So the dream for us is that we would be able to keep the people, the ladies, longer in another facility. So
Mm,
exiting them from sisters, but into another home for maybe 6 months, a year, just for some of the ladies really need that extra time, because you don't heal within the 3 months that you're in. You might be motivated, you might be stronger than what you've learned, what is the red flags, but you still need that support. Although even after the 3 months that they've been at sisters, we still keep contact with him. Like an aftercare, which is a requirement from DSD. But because the women knows that if they reach out to us, we are going to answer, because sisters is on WhatsApp. So you can make contact with us via WhatsApp. And if you're in need or we can help, we will help.
I'm here at the shelter, Sisters Incorporated. My journey started when I got married, and things wasn't that bad as it was a couple of years back then. But it just started now, more becoming, whereas he retired, and he started emotionally, mentally, and spiritually abuse me. And I didn't know what it was. So much accusations, some blame game, and very nasty and ugly words were said, and also accusing me of having affairs at the age of 60 years. Says now that my children's now grown and I wanted to start a social club where I can actually go and socialize and meet people and do some walking. And it was well for the year and that. And then at the end of the year, it started where he would say all kind of things about having affairs with coaches at this clubs, which was not true. and would start seeing things. And it's been going on now for more than 2 3 years now. And wherever I go, he would follow me, he would stalk me, even in my house. It's like you didn't even feel free. There was no that sort of freedom. And then he started also want to belong to the club and go where I go. And I said, that is not healthy. I need me time. And I have to have my friends as well. And it's just becoming worse and worse. And basically, it's a narcissistic ways of behavior that he couldn't find his passion, and everything was on me. And I said, no, I cannot live like that. Being married now for 38 years, which is quite a long time, there should be no anger. And that is the reason why I found myself in the shelter, that I just need myself and to get away for a while and discover myself and my identity, why all of this is happening. That is basically my story, why I am at this shelter, to find my peace, calmness, and to also find my identity as a human being and not to be judged by anyone. I could actually come here and take care of myself, like I said, find my identity, and also learn to be disciplined in doing whatever chores was given to me, and even had my own room, comfortable bed, lovely hot showers and meals. It was nice learning to empower me through skills. I enjoy the prayer group coming out to visit and to encourage us with biblical values for every situation we find ourselves in, and especially the palms of the yoga and therapeutic exercises. And I love the events even when we when visited, and we were treated so well, and even get goodie bags and flowers. That was so beautiful. It's all part of healing journey for yourself. I am so glad that I can just speak out, to get all this toxin out of your body, and yes, to discover that what is it is to be at Sisters. And I feel very much appreciated, and I'm so much grateful. Thank you. Gender-based violence is a severe human rights violation that affects individuals and communities worldwide. To physical violence, beating, rape, or murder. It can also be emotional, psychological violence, how they treat you and intimidate you, harassment, and accuse you, or the word persecuted, and blame and shame you. And especially when it comes to even sexual violence. Rape, assault, and trafficking is no part of our human race. It's actually sick. And economical violence has been holding financial resources also, and denying you from education or employment even to go out. It's because the person thinks that if they financially support you, that you must just do what they say, and do whatever they tell you to do, and that is not healthy. So seek help and get help from social services, or police officers, or you go to a counselor or like a social worker. And that is exactly what I actually did. Yeah, my hope is now, when I leave the Sisters Incorporated, that I will go back to relive my dreams as, yes, I still want to travel, continue with my sports, my social life, do my walkings and runnings, and also be part of leadership within the community to stop the gender-based violence. And it's a harmful practice. And I hope for the future also is for our next generation, for our children, and especially for our children, yes, that they don't have to be in the same situation, and to stay positive, to be the change and make use of resources, and just be grateful every day and be thankful. Life of gratitude. is where I see myself in the future. And yes, my hopes and dream is still to be on that boat trip that I am longing for. And I trust that I'm going to see it and go on it. Thank you.
It takes a lot of strength. It takes a good amount of strength. The strength comes from a place of whether you really want the help, and also you need to factor in the abuse that you are getting. How is it affecting the people around you, your kids, your mother, your father, your siblings? So having the strength is not just about you, it's also for the people around you, because they, whether you like it or not, they also get affected by the abuse, because you get abused and you change into this whole different person, and all of a sudden you're aggressive to your kids, and you're not a nice mother or a nice aunt. Sometimes you really just want to give into the beast. I call it the beast. You want to give into it because it it lies to you. It lies to you. It tells you that you're weak. It tells you that nobody loves you. It tells you that you can't achieve anything. It really takes a lot to pull yourself out of that dark hole, because that's where the beast drags you to, a dark hole. Whether you want to believe it or not, there's help at the police station. I think the only challenge that our the people that work there is that we go and report that we're being abused, and then the next day we go back and we want to, withdraw. They sort of also lose faith in us. You yourself has given into the role of being a victim. There's help everywhere, but I personally feel like there's not enough awareness in terms of letting them know that there are shelters that you can literally walk into a social development and tell them your story, and they can help you. Because that's literally how I got help. I actually went into a court to go get a court interdict for my perpetrator, and I was advised that for the position I was in, it was not the best thing for me to do the protection order and then live at the same house as my perpetrator. Then it's gonna escalate the situation. It's gonna make it worse, actually. So they advised me to speak to social workers, and then from there I got help, and now I'm in a shelter. It feels good and sad at the same time, because we all come from different backgrounds. Some of us come from families where you see your sisters, for instance, your sisters, your cousins are getting all the support from the aunts and the grandmothers and their own mothers and whatnot, and then now you need that kind of support, and no one comes through for you. You get to a place like this, you find your sisters, you find your aunts, you find your mothers. It's difficult to accept for me personally, because I would have loved that to have been my family, you know, but I'm here now, and it's very nice. It's refreshing at the same time to see, a different perspective of life in terms of support and strength. So I guess my point is, you're not always going to get support from the people you expect it from. When you're in my position, You get to a point where you feel like, I wish I can just go away to a remote island where I can just be, away from everything and just be able to think. And that's exactly what I got here. I got away from the noise and I was able to think. I was able to breathe. The other day, when we were doing one of the activities that we do here, for the first time in my life, I went deep into myself and I tapped into my younger self back when I was in high school, and it felt so good. And I felt the feelings that I used to feel back then, and all the goals and the dreams that I used to have back then before things started to change. Getting assistance from my fellow sisters and mothers and aunts. When I say fellow sisters, mothers, and aunts, I'm not just saying the women that are staying here, you know. I'm also talking about the staff as well, the people that make sure that we've got a comfortable bed, we've got, food in our stomachs, we smile every day, the people that make sure that we feel safe and we feel wanted. Because as much as the people that run this place, they make it a point that we feel like we've got sisters and aunts in them.
So you're saying that there needs to be more of a network, more like a full encompassing network for somebody that comes in. Because if you're saying this subsidizes people, that means it's a case basis. That means the court says that the person must come to your shelter, right? So it's not just walk-ins.
No, 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 no. Don't get me wrong. So when I say these subsidized, so we've got an agreement with Victim Empowerment to house women over a period. But in our case, at Sisters Incorporated, we don't expect you to come through the court or the hospital or the police referrals. If somebody phones us and they in a situation and we have the space, we will and the person meets our criteria, we will definitely take the person in. If the person comes to the gate, we're not gonna turn you away unless we don't have space. Because that's the only reason why we will turn you away if we know and you don't meet our criteria. Because our criteria is purely for domestic violence, interpersonal violence, and so on. Because we don't take in destitute women, we take in women and children that has gone through abuse. So, but we definitely, so for instance, if you get to have somebody that wants to phone in now to sisters and ask for information, even if we don't have the space, we will be able to guide you to say, look, contact the shelter, contact that place, because we are full.
Most definitely. Okay, so what role can men play in supporting organizations like Sisters Incorporated and in combating domestic abuse and GBV in their communities? Because they're part of the community. So, what role do you expect from them?
In short, this is what I wrote. I said men can be powerful agents of change in ending gender-based violence, not just by avoiding harmful behaviors themselves, but by actively challenging systems, supporting survivors, and influencing other men. Organizations such as us benefit immensely when men shows up as allies, funders, advocates, and educators. And the other thing that I want to add to that is that they then also believe the survivor, because many a times they don't believe the survivor. And that is what we need to mean to be, is to be a safe, non-judgmental listener for survivors and avoid the victim blaming.
Mm, mm, mm. When it comes to these issues within our society, what do you think is the single most important change that needs to happen?
Let me just see what I wrote. The most important change needed at societal level is to reduce the prevalence of gender-based violence, is to challenge for harmful gender norms that normalize male dominance and violence, and instead of promote equality, respect, and accountability in all relationships.
Mm. I think there needs to be more conversation with men about their role in society. I understand that you only really deal with the women, but do you think maybe they should be like a Brothers Incorporated? Because like look,
No,
they
I
really
laugh. I'm laughing because you're not the first person asking that. You're not the first. And I mean, there is men in communities that do work like this. But sometimes it feels like we as a organization gets to go into talks at
mm,
different levels. Um, if it's high teas or whatever companies, and then you sit there, you're talking, and you addressing a whole lot of females. And for me, it's like I know we are addressing the wrong group, because if we want to do prevention work, we should actually be talking to the males. And I know that sometimes when we in these talks, we do community work, we can actually see we've actually become so alert. We can actually see when a woman um is if afraid, or it's a trigger for her to hear us talking about it, or she will just walk away. But at times it really feels like we are addressing the wrong crowd. We are addressing the wrong group of human beings, because we need to pull in the men, and I mean that is what we advocate for, that men should actually actively be part of the conversation.
and I don't think okay, maybe all men won't be open to it, but there should at least be a balance. There should be if they don't want to have a discussion with women, then men should have their separate like a separate section where they get to speak, because I think it's also us as women, we nurture each other, we help each other. And I think in okay, I'm not a man, but in male society, it seems like they don't nurture each other, and there's no really space. It's always like just you must be a man, and you must boys don't cry, and like that's kind of the message we get as women from how they interact with each other. So then maybe their dialogue should change, and they should also have meetings where they talk about their feelings, because I think it's also the lack of talking about your feelings that you get overlooked, and that is probably also where all the anger issues come from, because they're unheard. And now we as women are suffering the consequences of a group of men that are unheard and unloved, or feel unheard and unloved. And then this is where the abuse kind of stems from. But from your experience running a shelter, what would you say are some of the red flags that women should look out for?
I'm going to answer the question now. I actually want to share something with you with regards to what a male one day said to us. And he overheard us talking. He was coming to fetch a woman that was a resident, and she exited at that time was up. And when he heard me talking to another couple that wanted to know more about sisters, but we were standing outside in the parking area. And this guy said, apologies, I'm not meaning to listen to your conversation, but I just want to share with you that his life was, he was, at the age of 5, his father was in prison, and his mother was at home. And one day he came from school and he couldn't get into the house. And by trying to get into the house through the window in the mother's bedroom, and to find that the mother is in the house but in bed with another man.
Mm, mm,
And he thought the mother was abused over the years and so on. But the mother gave him money and said to him, go to the shop, go do this and go do that. And he grew up with that, thinking that it's okay. And that is how he ended up treating females, because he thought that is what needs to happen. And he says if he looks back on his life today, he regrets that, because he grew up with a father being in jail, a mother having other men around the house, and when the men arrives, he needs to be out of the house, and then this men abuse his mommy. So it's those kind of things that actually needs to be addressed, because it's those traumatic roots that is there. So how do we help the boy child to not become the next perpetrator? My son, when he introduced his now fiance to me, he said to her, if you ever feel that I don't treat you right, this is the type of work that my mommy do. You can go and report me to my mommy, because mom, this is the work that my mommy does. You know, so that it really just, you know, like you say, it's maybe it's a conversation that is needed, a conversation to unearth all those old roots. Because if we want to go into a space where there is no gender-based violence anymore, then we need to unearth that roots. Yeah, but I just wanted to share that with you. And coming back to the red flags for any women. I mean, you know, one of the first thing that comes to mind is when he talks down to you in front of his friends, because making fun of you is okay, but it's not okay, because I used to say to my children, that is how bullying is like that on school, because you make fun, the boy make fun of the girl or whatever. So we're not going to tolerate that. Another red flag is when he just wants you off himself. He don't want you to have contact with anybody else. So you say no, your friends is trying to wash your mind, and he's just there, he's around, and he don't want you to go to your family. You now have moved in with him, or you're married to him, and he doesn't want you to go to have any contact with your family. That's all red flags. I mean, we don't need that kind of thing. And we've actually gone as far as to say, if you ever feel that you are abusive, and I mean, if a man smacks you the first time and he says it's not going to happen, sorry, it won't happen again, that is already enough for you to say, don't you ever, or make it known to somebody. We've gone as far as the National Shelter Movement to have a safety plan, to say to the woman, if you know that your life is in danger, or if you know that you are going through abuse, find a trustworthy friend or family member that you can leave your ID with, leave some money with, leave some stuff or your clothes if you can. But if you can't, that's not an option, because shelters provides clothing to you. If we need to do your ID for you, get you to go and do another ID, we do those things. Because it's all a matter of how to help the person to get away from the abuser.
There's definitely some red flags people should look out for. And I just want to go back to the way the making fun of each other. I think we desensitize each other, where we say, oh no, you can't take a joke, or oh no, you're being too sensitive. But some people, we can take a joke. But if your joke is gone too far, and I've that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about we sensitive and we can't take a joke. We can take a joke and we can make fun of each other in a good way. But it's the crossing of a line and the disrespect. That's what you mean by a red flag, right?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. So for our listeners who want to get involved, what's the best way they can contact you, support you? How can they donate? Can they volunteer? And how can we spread awareness?
So there's different ways that people reach out to sisters. You can, if you want to volunteer, you can. I always say I always say it like this: you can donate your time, and that means to volunteer. So if you want to volunteer, you can. You are welcome to email Bernadette on admin.org.za, or even send a WhatsApp through to 062 532-4427. People can donate in kind. People can donate financially. If they want to find us, we have a website, www.sisters.org.za. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. We recently posted some videos on TikTok. The red flags, there is one for red flags. You'll find it on there as well. And that's how people can reach out and spread awareness, make contact, and even if somebody needs help, even the fact that we're full right now, it doesn't mean that you can't reach out to us. We will still be able to guide you.
I know we do have to know the red flags, but I like to focus on the green flags. I don't know if you've heard about the green flags. We would like to promote positive behavior and teach people how to behave towards each other. Because the more you focus on something, the bigger it gets. And I just feel like if we can teach each other how to treat each other, then we will just have a better society. So I'd like to thank Delene Roberts. She is from Sisters Incorporated for joining me on Inspiring Talks with Ilhaam. This month is Women's Month. I'm gonna ask Delene to give us just a message for women out there before we end off. And they run a non-profit organization based in Cape Town in the southern suburbs, where they support and shelter women and children who are survivors of domestic abuse. So, what is your message for women out there for this Women's Month, Delene?
The first thing that came to mind was be kind to one another. And the second thing was fix each other's crowns. If you see my crown is skewed, just fix my crown. That's all. I just want to say a blessed Women's Month to everybody, and know that there is people that care what happens to you.